Welcome to everybody here in this session. Today, my name is Sebastian Wehr. I'm product manager for the automatic fire detectors. And today I would like to guide you through an half an hour webinar with the Q&A session afterwards regarding our Bosch automatic fire detectors, with a special focus also on our technology and the multi-sensor technology, which we also have in our portfolio. But before we start, I just want to go with you through the agenda, what we are going to do now. So first of all, we want to have a short look into the portfolio of the Bosch. So what you need to take into consideration when choosing a fire detector and why Bosch is a good solution for you. In the second step, we will have a look on the technology. We talk about the reliability and the technology which is behind our detectors. And we talk about the maintenance optimization. Number 3 is the multi-criteria detectors. As I said, we'll have a special focus why you should choose multi-criteria detectors in diverse applications and what is the proof of concept for this multi-criteria detector. And last but not least, we have a new family member in our Avena detector portfolio. It's a new CO detector. I will also have a short look or give you short information about this product, the value proposition, and talk about what is new and what is the customer benefit for this product. So when choosing Bosch fire detectors, what is behind? So the most important thing is that Bosch fire detectors stand for high reliability and early and accurate fire detection. But what do you need to consider when choosing for a fire detector? So for those who joined me, also the last webinar when we had in January, I already showed it, but I think it's a really important slide to have you or give you the information what is important. So where do you need to consider when choosing fire detector? First of all, it's about the reliability. So this is key to save life and assets. Then we talk about the false alarm rates. So false alarms interrupt the business activities and it generate costs. So due to unnecessary evacuations, it may even people to ignore the early warning of a smoke alarm. So it needs to be reduced, the false alarms. Then, of course, the speed is important. So as soon as a fire is detected, the less damage it could cause. But what is also important, as projects can change, it's about the extensions. So they are necessary as well as replacements. And last but not least, the planning of a fire alarm system is not that easy, and also maintaining it is really important. And therefore it can be challenging and also time consuming. And you all need to take this into consideration when choosing fire detectors. So what is Bosch doing to demonstrate you what is needed for the fire detectors? So our automatic fire detectors portfolio covers a lot of different detectors. So on the first hand side, we have our automatic addressable detectors. It's the Avena detector series, which you see on the left-hand side. We also have this available as conventional versions. On number 2, we have our special series, the detector 500 and 520. So this is our so-called invisible flash-mounted detector for special applications. We also have a duct detector for ventilation systems in our portfolio. We have a special X detector for X-proof areas in our portfolio. And last but not least, we also have a wireless detector. So the whole portfolio for special applications in our portfolio, which covers it. So talking about the why you should choose the fire detectors from Bosch. So we have 5 good arguments for you. So the first one is the high reliability. So for early and accurate detection. So in the slides before, I explained to you about the technology, and I will also go more deeper inside on the coming slides, talking about the technology, what is behind. So then it's about the easy installation, maintenance, and durability. So what does it mean? Easy and fast installation saves money, and we continuously improve the maintenance process, which I also show you later. The broad range for all kind of applications. The slide before you saw the portfolio, what is all in our detectors portfolio. So we cover a lot. Then we are compliant with the market standards, means we fulfill all relevant EN54 requirements. And additionally, to our product tested, all our products are tested from an independent test house, the VDS. Then, last but not least, the proven success. So we have decades of market experience, our engineers also in our market, and we test all our products in our own fire labs here in Munich to make the best out of every single product. Now you see the point about the why choosing fire detectors from Bosch. And the next part, I will talk about the technology. I will talk about the technology which is behind our detectors, and I will do it with an example of taking our Avener Detector 4000 product. So when we talk about the detection or the protection, we usually talk about, on the one hand side, an early and accurate detection. On the other hand side, we're talking about the minimum false alarm rate. But this is a kind of trade-off. Means the fastest detection does the only bring you in value add if it's a real alarm, so if it's not a false alarm. As I already said, a false alarm can cost a lot of money. So what does Bosch detectors do to avoid that? We are using innovative technology for our fire detection, like smart sensor technology, for example, the ISP, the intelligent signal processing, the dual ray, the e-smog, and the logic sense. These words I will explain you a little bit deeper in the next slide. But first, I want to give you an outlook. What is the benefit for you as a customer? So, of course, first of all, you need to protect people and prevent material damages. With the detectors, we ensure the business continuity, and there's a sustainable life cycle for the durability, which is really important on that. Coming through the next slide, which gives you an overview about our Avener Detector 4000. So with the launch of the FAP 425 DOTCO-R, which we launched today, we have in total 9 different variants of this Avener detector. Why we have so many? Because it's important to say that we have different sensor types in it. We have an optical sensor for the smoke, we have a thermal sensor for the heat, and we have a C sensor inside our products. So therefore, for all the different applications which can occur in the field and projects, we have different kind of detectors which we can provide. What is also really important, that all our detectors are automatic addressing and manual addressing. So with the rotary switches, you can easily choose for which kind of application you need it. And when talking about the technology behind, which all of these 9 variants have, it's first of all important the ISP, the so-called intelligent signal processing. So what is behind is a rule-based algorithm from the experience of more than 5,000 fire patterns for the best false alarm reduction. And this we continuously test in our own laboratories. The next one is the dual ray. You can see it in the detectors with a D in the naming. The dual ray is not only one optical LED, it's 2 LEDs. So it's a red and a blue LED, which helps to distinguish visible disturbance values like steam or smoke for the highest detection precision. So it means also the smallest particles will getting detected for this dual ray detector. And last but not least, we have the e-smog feature. So when talking about EMC, which is getting more and more important for the Wi-Fi, the mobile phones, whatever, in public buildings, this could cause troubles and make false alarms, lead to false alarms when detecting. So we have an EMC feature. It makes the detector more robust against invisible disturbance values. You can also see it right from the beginning, so from the planning phase, if a detector has or will be able to get false alarms because of the EMC values. On the next slide, I will give you an overview about our optimized maintenance possibilities to ensure the reliability and to reduce the costs for the customers. Starting on the right-hand side, it's about the easy cleaning. So our invisible detectors, so the detectors of the series 500 and 520s, they have a timeless ultra flat design for smooth and easy cleaning possibilities. You can see already on the design that there are no big openings where the dust can be inside. So we have the easy cleaning opportunity with this detector. Number two is the chambermaid plug we have for our Avana detectors. It's a small plug behind the detector to easily clean the detector, and you have the possibility to blow out the smoke or the smoke chamber with pressurized air. On number three, and this is something new, we have the so-called self-supervision with our detectors. So means all our addressable detectors, so it's the Avana series, but also the Detector 520 series, they can perform a sensor function and communication tests. Means every single sensor, the optical, the thermal, and the chemical sensor can test itself and communicate it to the panel. So they meet the latest VDS requirements for self-testing, the so-called 3680 rule. And we are now able to perform the self-supervision test with all our addressable detectors. On point number 4, we have the remote maintenance, and this is also a really important topic because the system health status and the firmware update information is really important for the predictive maintenance. Now the status of each individual detector is known before reaching on site, and this you can see on the point number 3, the self-supervision. All this information we have will be reported within the remote maintenance system, where you can see directly for each single detector. Coming now to the next part, and this will be the multi-criteria detectors. So multi-criteria detectors is a very special detector. So it means it's not only used one sensor, so it's a combination of 2 or even 3 sensors. And why this is getting more and more important, I will show you on the next slide, because we first need to talk about the false alarms. So a couple of minutes ago, I showed you and demonstrated to you the interaction between the early and accurate detection and the minimum false alarms rate. So even with very robust detectors, false alarms cannot be included. You can see it on the left-hand side. So the false alarm course means that 20 to 30% of today's false alarms have undetermined causes. This means if you don't know about the reason of your false alarms, you cannot counteract. But what is important, you need to reduce the false alarms. So it means with a combination of sensors, you can reduce the false alarms. This is also written in the norms, so in the multi-criteria norms. So increase the false alarm stability means a multi-sensor fire detector, which is combining the smoke, the heat, and or the carbon monoxide, has a higher stability against deceptive phenomena and responds to a broad range of fires. This I will also show you in one of the next slides. Means at the end, the false alarm response for multi-criteria detectors can help to reduce the false alarms. And what is behind? You can see here our Avana Detector 4000, and we have 4 variants of our multi-criteria variants. We have the DOT sensor, we have the OT, and we have the DOTC and the DOTCO. So it means all these detectors consist of more than one sensor. They are available with an optical and thermal and the chemical sensor, and you can combine it. So how does it work, and what is what is important behind to know? So all sensor signals are linked with each other and continually analyzed by the internal electronic. And only if the signal combination corresponds to the characteristics of the area operation, then the alarm is triggered. So this reduces the risk of false alarm. And what is also important, that we have an individual parameter setting. So means for every single detector, you can choose, independent from your application, from your project, a different kind of settings. So where you can choose if, for example, the optical detector is set to low sensitivity, to medium, or to high. And this you can do for every single sensor. And it also shows you and demonstrates you that for every single norm which exists for the EN54 detectors, we have a special detector which fulfills these norms. And which is also important to show, to give you a little bit the background of the multi-criteria detection, and for you to understand maybe a little bit the technology. Why does it lead to less false alarms when using the multi-criteria detectors? Therefore, I have a next slide. And this you can see our Avenir detector, and which you can see quite well. You can see that we have on top, there's a heat sensor. We have the smoke sensor, which is inside our smoke chamber, and we have an CO sensor. And you can see in the graphic easily that on the first stage, every single sensor has its own function. You can use it as a pure smoke, as a pure heat, or as a pure CO. This is in the first part if you use the setting. But with our Bosch R&D power we put inside, we can see on stage number 3 that all these different paths can be also combined with each other. So you can combine the heat and the smoke, you can combine the smoke and the CO, and you can also combine all 3 of them together. And this leads at the end to a combined alarm decision. And this combined alarm decision is really good for special applications where a detector can lead to false alarms. And if you use a multi-criteria detectors with a combined alarm decision, this will support you to reduce the false alarms. So in the next slide, when talking about the multi-criteria detectors, they can provide protection where single sensors may be insufficient. So what does it mean? They respond to a broad range of fires. On the right-hand side, you see the different test fires. All these named 6 test fires you can see here are out of the norms. And for the multi-criteria detectors, all of these test fires needs to be fulfilled. The next point is the possible advantage of multi-criteria fire detectors. That is that they can compensate for limitation of various single sensors, so smoke, heat, and CO, by combining the different measuring values. So like I explained before, it's a combination of the different sensors. And last but not least, this results in a higher possible improvement in response speeds for early fire detection with a considerably higher immunity against deceptive phenomena, and thus fewer false alarms. So what does it mean for you, for the customer at the end? It's the benefit that you have a higher stability against false alarms. So less false alarms or false alarm reduction means also less business interruption and a better protection for the whole fire alarm system. So this is, was a rough overview about the high importance of the multi-criteria detectors, because we at Bosch, I am as a product manager, I see that this is a really good opportunity choosing multi-criteria detectors to reduce the false alarms and have a higher robust of the fire alarm system. So last but not least of this webinar, we're coming to our newest member of the Avenir Detector 4000 series. It's the FAP 425 DOT-CO-R. So you can see already in the naming, it's really a long naming, but it also means that there's a real of Bosch power inside for this detector, because this is a detector, a special multi-criteria detector, which fulfills all the EN54 norms, especially when it comes to CO, carbon monoxide. But before talking about this detector, I think it's important to talk about bring some clarity in a type of gas which can arise during a fire. And this is the carbon monoxide. the CO. So carbon monoxide is colorless and an odorless gas, and therefore impossible to detect without an alarm system or some air sampling systems. So it is a byproduct of a combustion reaction, so it is uncommon for this toxic and fatal gas to leak from appliances, equipment, and vehicles. And CO detection can help mitigate and reduce exposure to CO. However, the health effects, both short and long term, can be complex if exposure occurs, and CO sensors react promptly to smoldering. So it means they are better suited for scenarios involving dust, steam, or cooking vapors. So at the end, the integration of CO detection helps provide even more reliable fire detection and therefore also a higher false alarm stability. What is important to mention here, that the DOT CO detectors, even if you have a setting for the pure CO only, can detect gas of a fire according to the EN 54 standard. So it cannot be used as a gas detection system. This is important really for me to mention here. The pure CO can be detected, but regarding the EN 54 norms. So there is no pure or it's not working like a standalone gas detection system. And what is important, which I already mentioned, is that it's then kind of all-in-one detection. So we are now meet all harmonized EN standards for automatic point type detectors. And this is also important because when we talk about the detectors, there are currently a lot of norms available. You can see here in the graphic that we have the EN 54.7 and the EN 54.7 for the optical part, the 5 for the thermal part. And then we have the 29, which is a combination of the optical and the thermal. And then we have the 3 new norms where now CO is included. So in former, CO was only there for support, the optical and the heat, but now the CO sensor is there also to trigger an alarm. So for example, if you have a look at the EN 5426, it's a pure CO alarm only with carbon monoxide. The EN 5430 is a combination of carbon monoxide and heat, and the 31 is a combination of smoke, heat, and CO. What is important here to mention that these 3 CO norms I mentioned, the 26, the 30, and the 31, they are not yet harmonized. So means they are not yet officially brought to the market from the European Union, but we already tested our detectors at the VDS regarding the VDS guidelines, the VDS guideline 6, 17, 18, and 19. And this means that these guidelines are in line with these norms. And as soon as these norms are harmonized, we will also go for the certification regarding these new norms. So it means summarized that our new FAP 425 DOT-CO-R detector fulfills all harmonized EN standards for the automatic point detectors. I'm giving a short overview now for the detector, for the new detector. What is the value proposition of that? Is, of course, on the first hand side, the additional carbon monoxide, so the gas sensor for accurate fire alert. We now also have the new CO norms, so the EN 54, 26, 30, and 31 in line with the upcoming EN 4 standards. So the consultants can now specify the CO gas fire detection. We have even more reliable fire detection for higher false alarm stability. So like I explained, it's a multi-criteria detector with 3 sensors which are in combination with each other. Also, the lifetime extension is really important to mention because we extended this product. There's a new CO cell in, so you have a durability of 10 years of this product. Also, of course, all depends on the surrounding conditions, but all the components of this product have a durability of 10 years. And last but not least, we will also provide an extended remote service and maintenance provision. So means I already talked about the self-supervision from the VDS, that our sensors can report already information about the stability and about the functionality to the panel. And this, we started with this remote service maintenance, and we will continually improve this for our new detector, but also for all addressable detectors we have in our portfolio. So this was my last slide. I hope you got a little bit of feeling, a little bit an overview about our fire detector portfolio, about what is important when installing a fire alarm system, and mostly what is important when using a fire detector. Also the high importance of multi-criteria detectors, and also last but not least, the information I shared with you about our newest detector. Now we have some minutes left for the Q&A session. But from that on, I will say thank you very much for listening.
Before you start with the Q&A, Sebastian, I'd like to ask our dear guests to evaluate this session. So kindly ask you just to scan this QR code and share your feedbacks with us. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Anna. So I will go through the questions. I can already see that there are some in. Of course, just want to mention, if there are many questions, I will try to answer it later. I will check now and hope that we can get into time to most of the questions of it. So the first question I see here, so is which are the VDS requirements you are referring in slide 10? So the optimized maintenance. Yeah, this is the question. So it's the VDS guideline 3816. So it's a so-called self-test device for components of fire alarm technology. So it contains requirements and test methods for the fire detectors. But what is important here to mention that these special features of this guideline is that it's designed very open. So it's not usually like, norms for example, fire detectors, which are really strict. So this VDS guideline 3860 is really open. So it means at the end, if you're Bosch or even another manufacturer, you can hand in your information or your idea to the VDS, and the VDS will check in it afterwards. So it means at the end, different manufacturers can have totally different solutions on that. The next question here is about how do the different sensors work together. It is an and or connection. Okay, this is also a really good question because the different settings can be chosen in our RPS system. In our installation manual, you can find a table with all the different settings and which norms are fulfilled by these settings. So normally the connections are an OR connection, to go directly to this question. Only for the optical path, the responsiveness will be influenced from other sensors. So e.g., if you have the optical sensor on low, of course, it needs other sensors for an alarm. The only real AND connection is when it's directly written in the EN 5431. It's the suppression of single fire phenomena. Okay, let me just check. Good. Next question. So there's one question for the Avena 4000. Does it come also with a sounder, or can it have a separate sounder in the base of the sounder? So this is a good question. So the Avena detector itself, it's a pure fire detector, but you can combine it with our bass sounder. So instead of using our normal bass, the MS400 bass, you can use the FNM 420, and this is the bass sounder, and you can also combine it with our all-in-one detector. So with a bass sounder, you have then of course sound in it regarding the IN543. And if you combine the detector with our Avena all-in-one 4000 detector, you have sound according to IN543, and you have also a flash regarding the IN5423. So you can easily combine it. Then there's a question. Good morning. Any plans from Bosch to include in portfolio outdoor fire detection forecasts for forests, for instances? Thank you. So this is currently not planned for fire detection. When we're talking about outdoor detection, we have a solution with our video-based fire detection with our Aviotech. But for our detectors, it's currently, so for the point type automatic detectors, it's not planned. For the Aviotech video-based fire detection, it is planned. The next question is about the test fires. You mentioned all the test fires. Are they all really tested? And I say, yes, of course, because these test fires are coming out of the norm. So it's a must-have to do all the different test fires. So the corresponding norm says which test fire has to be fulfilled. So for our new DOTCO detector, for example, all test fires I mentioned, I showed on the slide, need to be passed. And what is here maybe important to mention regarding the test fires, that we as Bosch, we do all our test fires, we do it in-house. And we do not only one time, we do it several times. For all our detectors which we launch, we do the different tests in-house in our fire laboratory, and afterwards we're going to, for example, the VDS, and they are retesting it for this. Then there's a question regarding does Bosch provide the spray for test the detector? Yeah, of course we do. If you have a look at our product catalog, for the detectors, you can see that we have this aerosol. We have an aerosol for the optical part, and we have a spray for the carbon monoxide. So you can directly order it from Bosch. You can see in our product portfolio, or ask your responsible salesperson, and also show you directly where you can find this product. Then there's a question, lifetime of the new detector. It is really 10 years. I know that there's competitors where they have only 7 to 8 years, and your, I think it means DOTC detector has only 5 to 6 years. Yes, it's a clear yes. So this is the improvement of our new detector. We ensure durability of 10 years for this new detector. I'm sorry. You have the 10 years lifetime, and this, of course, is also a USP, because I also don't know about any detector, at least in the end market, which has a lifetime of 10 years. But yes, we provide you the detector, 10 years is possible. So there's also one, is there any recommendation on how often customers need to replace smoke detectors? If so, how often should customers replace smoke detectors? So this is a not clear recommendation from us, because it all depends. This is a good question, but this is also my answer. It all depends on the surrounding areas. For example, you cannot compare a cleaner surrounding like an office building with some production site. So in Germany, there's a clear guideline how often do you need to replace. So in Germany, we have the guideline of 8 years. Also the guideline, the requirement, every 8 years you need to replace the detectors. But I ordered this discussion yeah, they're talking about to extend it because 8 years, like I said, if you're talking about 8 years in an office surrounding, I think the detector has a much longer lifetime. So it means there's no clear recommendation how often to replace the detector. But what I would recommend, we have our remote services. So like I explained in the slides, there's a kind of self-supervision of every single sensor. You can read out the values of all 3 sensors, and this will be communicated. So it means our system gives you the hint, the advice when a detector is polluted, is not working 100% correctly anymore, and then you need to replace. Then there's also lifetime of Bosch Avenir detector 4000. So this is, like I said, the lifetime. There is not a deep lifetime because we, like I said, 10 years is so the lifetime, which we definitely fulfill for every detector. But also here, it depends the lifetime also on the surrounding conditions. So it's a very dusty, dirt area. I think the smoke chamber will not be, or it will not be possible to reach the 10-year lifetime. Then with a multi-sensor detector, does the performance of each sensor change after a period of time? The answer is it also depends. So if the question is regarding from time to time, does the detection performance decrease or get worse? This is not the case. So also, as I said, regarding the self-supervision, you can have a look at all our sensors and you can read out the values on the functionality of a sensor if it's still working or not. So it means the detection performance at the end will not decrease. But of course, if a detector gets polluted because of the dusty area, then of course the stability will decrease a little bit. Then there's a question, can the combination of sensors be programmed such as a combination will work during the day and another combination will work during the night? Yes, so the day and night combination, it's still possible. So you can choose out of 20 different parameter settings for our detector in the RPS. And you can, like I explained, choose every single sensor, combine with another sensor. You can choose about the sensitivity, low, medium, or high. And you also have the possibility to choose between a day and a night mode. The next question is, it's again about the harmonization. You said the new CO norms are not yet valid. So what does it mean? Yeah, I think this is a really good question because we're talking about this very often. So if norms are not harmonized, it doesn't mean, or it mean that they are already there. Yeah, you can build products against these kind of norms, but they are not officially brought to the market. So it is for the EN 5426, the 30 and the 31, though they are not yet harmonized. So means you will also not see this very often in tenders. It could be possible, but currently it is not the case. It will be more and more pushed when the norms are harmonized. So it means they are currently under construction and they are not yet officially part of the European standard norms. So currently there's no fixed date for this, for the harmonization. And therefore the VDS has the guidelines 6017, 6018, and 6019, which we're using for our DOTC detectors. Then there is a next question. How often do we need to do the maintenance for smoke detector? 2 times or 4 times per year? What is the recommendation from Bosch to do the maintenance to the system? So this is also a question which is, it differs from country to country. So in Germany, there's a clear guideline how often you should do that. And also for Bosch, there's no clear recommendation on that because I now need to say it again, it depends on the surrounding areas. So if it's a very dusty area, of course, you need to to do more maintenance, and then it's just in the office building. But what could help you on that is, of course, that you have use the remote maintenance, where you can see directly if a detector is polluted, and this will help you a lot to figure out a detector which is polluted or is getting more and more polluted, so you can replace the detector. So then there's a question regarding the parameter settings for the detectors. All parameter settings for the detectors are also in accordance with the EN54 standard and allowed to use them freely. Yes, here I can give a clear yes. There's also one setting which is not regarding the standard, but if you have a look in our product catalog, in our installation manual, there's directly on the page number 2, you can see a whole table. This is new inside. You can see a whole table with all the different parameter settings. You can see which setting is for the different sensor regarding the low, the medium, high. And on the last column, you can see directly an overview which norm does it fulfill. So this is new, and I think it's really important for you in the field that you can see directly this setting. If you choose this setting, then you fulfill this norm, and if you choose another setting, you see another norm. Then there's a question regarding the EMC function in detectors. So how does it work? So here I have to say, of course, I cannot go deeper inside the technology because this is Bosch R&D, so it's a kind of a secret. So I will not talk deep inside of that. This technology, but what I can say, and I think I already demonstrated this eSmog feature, that we have a functionality inside the detector which evaluates the EMC, so the values, and it reports the values directly to the panel and therefore to the customer to directly recognize if there is a problem with it. Then I think we have 2 questions can be tackled within the time. As I said again, I will try to answer all of these after the webinar also. There's a question, the new DOTCO gas detection. Can you do the pure gas detection? So I think this I already covered. Yes, it is important that the DOTC has no separate channel for the gas detection. So there is only the gas detection of a fire. So if there's a fire, then there's gas detection regarding the EN54. Because very often I'm going to be asked also if it detects CO gas, or can use it as a pure CO detector or as a gas detection. No, only pure CO regarding the EN54 norms. There's one setting which detects the CO only, so means the thermal and the optical detector are switched off. Okay, I will check for one more question.
Sebastian, maybe if I can help you. I can see one. I think it's a general question about the Avenir 4000 family, if it comes with a sander or can it have a separate sander in the base of the detector?
Okay, this I already answered this question. Yes.
Okay.
It's a
Sorry, so many questions then.
Yeah, so many. Okay. Okay, I think also the time is up, Anna. If we want to stick to the time limit, so I would say the questions are. I can still see the questions. I'm gonna try to answer it all via email afterwards.
Yes, we can make it.
Okay.
So then this is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for this excellent one, and also thank you for the audience getting these tons of questions. We really try to do our best and answer all. If we didn't have time to do it, as Sebastian said, we will do it separately. And then, as said at the beginning, we recorded the session, and within a couple of days, I'm going to share the link with you to this recording together with the presentation. Thank you very much for joining us, and please follow us in our next webinars. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye.